now I'd like to go over the muscles of the head and neck for you using our models. So you have the muscle here that stands on top of the frontal bone. That muscle, along with this muscle that you see on the back of the occipital bone, it's connected with an aponeurosa that goes across the top of the head. So it's really considered one muscle. Let me turn to the side here. That is really considered one muscle, and it has a couple different names. It can be called the epicranius. Epi is above, cranius for cranium, so above the cranium. Or it can also be called the occipitofrontalis, based on the bones that they're lying on top of. So either one of those names for that. So if I had a sticker here asking you to identify that, or one here, you would call it the epicranius, or you would call it the occipitofrontalis. Then you have the muscle here that lies right on top of the temporal bone, and that's called the temporalis. So oftentimes we find that muscles are named based on the bone that they're lying on top of. So that's the temporalis muscle. Also from this view, you can see the masseter. The masseter muscle right here, which is on the back of the mandible, on the back of the jaw, it's named based on its action because it's the major muscle involved in chewing, and chewing is referred to as mastication. So masseter, named based on the action that it performs. This is a salivary gland. That's a parotid gland lying right on top of that masseter muscle. Now, what you see here, you only see a portion of the muscle because it's been cut right here. But this muscle is the Sternocleidomastoid Muscle. And you're going to want to look at your drawings and your illustrations to see the entire, in your text, to see the entire muscle. But it's named based on its attachment. So sternocleidomastoid. It's attached here to the mastoid process of the temporal bone, and then it will come down, and in reality, you're not seeing it, but in reality, it would branch into two branches, where one would connect to the sternum and the other branch would connect to the clavicle. Hence, sternocleidoid, for clavicle, mastoid muscle. Okay, then you have other muscles of the face. You have the Orbicularis Oculi right here. And it's named based on the direction that the fibers run. So the fibers encircle the eye. That's a muscle you contract when your eyes wink or when you squint your eyes. So it's orbicularis because the fibers are running, orbiting, if you will, around the eye. Oculi for eye. And then around the mouth, around the lips, you have the orbicularis oris. Oris for mouth. It's commonly known as, its common name is the kissing muscle because that is the muscle that contracts when you pucker your lips. Okay, then we have here, this is called the trapezius. So let me turn them around so you can see the trapezius muscle. Starts all the way back here on the occipital bone, comes all the way out, and then this is still the trapezius down here, and then all the way back up. And then you would have it on this side as well. So you have the trapezius here and the trapezius here. It's named based on its shape, because if you follow my pencil, you might imagine that that looks like a trapezoid. So its shape is, it gets its name from its shape. It's the trapezius muscle. This muscle right here, this large broad muscle that starts right there and ends right here, is the Latissimus Dorsi. So dorsal, it's on the back of the torso, Latissimus Dorsi. Let me show you the deltoid. The deltoid muscle is right here. So it's framed in between my hands, so it comes all the way out here, tapers and inserts on the humerus. It's also named based on its shape, because if you were to expand that out, it would look like a triangle, which is a delta, right? The Greek symbol delta is a triangle, so it's the deltoid. It caps the shoulder. You can also see on this model a portion of, I'm going to show you in another model as well, that this muscle right here is the Serratus Anterior. So it's kind of zigzaggedy shaped. I'm going to show you a better view of that in another model in a moment. It's on the anterior side of the torso, Serratus Anterior. When you get down to the bottom portion of the model, that is the tensor fascia lata. I'm going to show that to you on the leg model as well. That tensor fascia lata right here. This is the iliotibial tract in white. And then what you see on the back, of course, is the gluteus maximus. I'm also going to show you this on the leg model as well. Let me show you one more muscle on this model, and that is a really important muscle involved in breathing. This is the diaphragm. The diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscle that when it contracts and relaxes, allows for air to enter and leave the lungs. And actually, I'm going to show you a couple more muscles. So right in here on the inside, let me turn it so you can see it. The abdominal muscles. I have another model. I'm going to show these to you but let me show them to you here as well. On the very inside, these muscle fibers are running horizontally. That's called the transverse abdominis. And then on the outside, you have the external oblique. Those fibers are running at an angle, so that's why it's called oblique. It's the external oblique because it's on the outside. But then sandwiched in between the two, right there, is the internal oblique muscle. You can kind of see where the model has provided divisions for us. So external oblique, internal oblique, transverse abdominis. Okay, and that's going to get it for the muscles on this model.